Welcome back to Chicago English, Sunshine Alex Book Club. Roll doll. The Twits, the two idiot twits. We are doing chapter 9, 10, 11, 10, 11, 12. Let's see. We are doing, let me check. So, they are just playing tricks. The last chapter, Mr. Twit pretended to shrink Mrs. Twit. Remember how he did that? Very cleverly. He started putting little thin slices of wood onto her cane, her walking stick, and her chair. So that was chapter 9. Yeah. So we are, obviously, as the title says, we're doing chapter 10. Mrs. Twit gets stretched. So gosh, my hair. She's stretching. Okay, she thinks she was shrinking, so they're gonna stretch her. I bet this is another joke. Mr. Twit. So we're gonna do that chapter. These are really quick. They're just like 1-page chapters, okay? All right, chapter 10. Mrs. Twit gets a stretching, all right? Then 11, Mrs. Twit goes ballooning up. And 13, Mrs. Twit goes ballooning down. Oh boy. So here's a quick, when we do reading, my hair, the chapter title, we can figure out what's going to happen. And so we have the title is, the main idea. The sentence is main idea. So if you are taking a reading test and you're coming down and you've got like 3 or 4 questions left and you only have 1 minute, read the first sentence, second sentence, then skim, because you can really get lots of information and then make an educated guess when you're taking the test. Only do that if you have to. All right, so chapter 10, chapter 11, chapter 12. She's getting stretched because she thinks she's getting shrunk. She's going ballooning because probably balloons to stretch her. She's coming down because it probably doesn't work. My guess. I've already read this book anyways. So before we do, you know what? Vocabulary. Last time I tried to speak the vocabulary, it didn't work. My phone, I don't know. I tried to talk over it. So I'm going to try to do it. If not, read it or ask me in class. Pronunciation. All right. Vocabulary in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, everyone. As you saw, the vocabulary words has something new. It has parts of speech, a noun, a verb, adjective, adverb, okay? And I also fixed my book problem, hopefully. I've got this to hold the book down. Look at that. My trophy. A hole-in-one. August 1st, 2015. It was on hole number 2, 181 yards at Nippersink Country Club. I used a 4-iron. Boom. Hit it perfectly. It landed about, I'd say 5 yards before the hole and rolled right in. Was using a Nike ball. I usually use Pro V1s, but I hit it with a Nike. Bam. So I use Nike balls from now on. Alrighty, let's get going. I've been talking a lot. Mrs. Twit gets a stretching. Mr. Twit led Mrs. Twit outdoors, where he had everything ready for the great stretching. He had 100 balloons and lots of string. He had a gas cylinder for filling the balloons. He had fixed an iron ring into the ground. "Stand here," he said, pointing to the iron ring. He then tied Mrs. Twit's ankles to the iron ring. When it was down, he began filling the balloons with gas. Each balloon was on a long string, and when it was filled with gas, it pulled on its string, trying to go up and up. Mr. Twit tied the ends of the strings to the top half of Mrs. Twit's body. He's going to stretch her with balloons. Oh my gosh. Some he tied around her neck, some under her arms, some to her wrists, and some even to her hair. Oh my gosh. Oh, I got it. Oh, uh-oh. Some even to her hair. Did you see that? Wrist and some to her hair. Let's go all the way here. Okay. All right, I didn't figure this out all perfectly, right? Let's do that. Okay. Soon there were 50 colored balloons floating in the air above Mrs. Twit's head. Can you feel them stretching you? Asked Mr. Twit. I can, cried Mrs. Twit. They're stretching me like mad. He put on another 10 balloons. The upward pull became very strong. Mrs. Twit was quite helpless now, with her feet tied to the ground and her arms pulling upward by the balloons. She was unable to move. She was a prisoner, and Mr. Twit had intended to go away and leave her like that for a couple of days and nights to teach her a lesson. Oh my gosh, what a mean guy. In fact, he was just about to leave when Mrs. Twit opening her big mouth and said something silly. Something silly, banku donku. All right, let's look at this. You guys have it, but so he's got the balloons tied to her hair, under her arms, her neck, and then he's got the tied to the ring that's onto the ground. Here's crazy Mr. Twit. Here's the cylinder filled with helium. The gas is helium to make the balloons go up. Alrighty, let's go to our next page. Are you sure my feet are tied properly to the ground? She gasped. If those strings around my ankles break, it'll be goodbye for me. And that's what gave Mr. Twit his second nasty idea. Oh, he's going to cut them things. All right, what is it? Let's see. Yeah, chapter 11. Mrs. Twit goes ballooning up. Up right here. Where's the camera? Up. Uh-oh. I can't miss the camera. Up. Okay. There's enough pull here to take me to the moon, Mrs. Twit cried out. To take you to the moon, exclaimed Mr. Twit. What a ghastly thought. We wouldn't want anything like that to happen. Oh dear me, no. We most certainly wouldn't, cried Mrs. Twit. Put some more string around my ankles quickly, and I want to feel absolutely safe. Very well, my angel, said Mr. Twit. And With a ghoulish grin on his lips, he knelt down at her feet. He took a knife from his pocket, and with one quick slash, he cut through the strings, holding Mrs. Twit's ankles to the iron ring. Oh my gosh, he is so mean. To the iron ring, are we? Let's see. Ba-da-ba-bum. Okay, we got it. She went up like a rocket. Help! She screamed. Save me! But there was no saving her now. In a few seconds, she was high up in the blue, blue sky and climbing fast. Mr. Twit stood below looking up. What a pretty sight, he said to himself. How lovely all those balloons look in the sky. And what a marvelous bit of luck for me. At least that old hag is lost and gone forever. What a meeny-peeny guy, huh? Oh, I'm moving everything. So look at that. He cut the string. She's going up. Oh, boy. There he is cutting the string. This is like murder. He could go to jail. Attempted murder. All right. Here we go. Hey, you know what they're saying? What goes up must come down. What goes up always comes down. Here's a quick question, though, for my super students. What goes up and never comes down? What goes up and never comes down? You tell me at school. You tell me down below. I will give you a candy bar from America. Okay, think about it. Chapter 12. Mrs. Twit goes ballooning down. Mrs. Twit may have been ugly and she may have been beastly, but she was not stupid. High up there in the sky, she had a bright idea. If I can get rid of some of these balloons, she said to herself, I will stop going up and start coming down. Oh, yeah, she is smart. She began biting through the strings that held the balloons to her wrists and arms and neck and hair. Each time she bit through a string and let the balloon float away, the upward pull got less and her rate of climb slowed down. When she had bitten through 20 strings, she stopped going up altogether. She stayed still in the air. She bit through one more string. Very, very slowly, she began to float downward. It was a calm day. There was no wind at all, not like today. Today is windy. And because of this, Mrs. Twit had gone absolutely straight up, and now she began to come absolutely straight down. Oh boy. As she floated gently down, Mrs. Twit's petticoat billowed up like a parachute. That's a peacoat, but petticoat, showing her long knickers. It was a grand sight on a glorious day, and thousands of birds came flying in from miles around to stare at this extraordinary old woman in the sky. So, here she is coming down, going straight up, straight down. All righty. So those are our 3 chapters today. Very short. If you guys have any questions, give me a message right down below or see me in the Hagwon. And remember, what goes up and never comes down. It's kind of, we call a riddle question in America. In Korea, here's my Chicago sign. I painted this today, or a couple days ago. We call it a riddle, and I made it. I cut it. We call it a riddle. In Korea, you call it a nonsense question. Alrighty, everyone. Great job. You guys are awesome. I will see you at the academy. Bye-bye.